Hello and welcome back. We'll just follow the Kobo around the railway for a moment or two. We've got those bolster wagons with the timber loads there. See if we can come down low and look over the top of these coaches. And perhaps a little bit higher as we run around the back of the elevated loop there. So we'll just come past the station. There's that GWR tank locomotive we saw coming into the station earlier on. So I made up those timber loads quite some time ago. I think just bits of balsa wood trimmed up, just lying in between the bolsters. Makes sort of a fairly interesting looking load. So the last few weeks, I think in a number of videos I've shown on the bench, I've had a handful of wagons I've been cleaning up. So I've been continuing on the same theme. If you look at the bench there, I've got a few wagons underway there, so we'll have those out in the weeks to come. But I have managed to get the Bogie bolsters with the timber loads all cleaned up and a couple of extras out. So let's just bring this round one more time here. I think we'll just bring that to a gentle stop just behind the station there, at the signal box perhaps. Or have I chosen a really daft place to stop it on a set of points? Let's just move it ahead of those points just a fraction. There we go. I think that'll probably be a nicer place to hold it there. Let me just grab some notes for a second. So we've seen the Kobo before, so I think that came along 1956. Actually, I'm looking at the notes incorrectly there. 1961 for the Kobo, I think. And the four-wheel bolsters, they're 1956. I'm jumping ahead in the notes there. And we've got that sort of Western-style brake van. And we've got that down there as also coming along, 56. Let's just pull a couple of those off and have a look at them. So just pull this one off. This one is a slightly later one. So probably not from 56, this one a bit later on. It's got the plastic couplings. I'm not sure what year they came along. And I've just got those tacked into place there. I wonder if we can get that back successfully in place there. Yeah, pretty good. Actually, I was a bit over optimistic there. There we go. Let's grab the brake and have a swift look over the brake. Lovely bit of printing on this brake. Let's have a swift look over that. So some beautiful detail there. A little bit of a scratch there. It's definitely been in the walls a bit. Metal wheels, metal base, metal couplings. So we've got a chimney on the roof there. A nice veranda at the back. I love those windows printed in shiny material there, so shiny sort of chromed printing. We've got them on the back there as well. Let's see if I can pop that back on there. There we go, that looks all quite successful. Let's just have a quick look at these Triang wagons here. I'm going to grab my notes as well in a second. So I've got a variety of different loads here. We've got one that looks more like a piece of machined timber there, and that one looks like it might have been cut off a bush, or maybe it's a sort of a finish they put on the factory. I'm unsure. And that one's a little bit lighter, but definitely a machined sort of finish. I don't know whether you call it planed when it's like that. Square timber we refer to as plain timber. And again, there's another one that looks like it might have been cut off a genuine sort of a bush in the car park, perhaps, without too much finishing, just cropped off to fit on there. And these two have these sort of sprung connectors there to keep them in place. So they're missing there. And on that one, let's have a quick glance at the boxes here. So fairly interesting boxes. So we've got R.212 Bogie Bolster Wagon with load. I think the printing's very, very faint on there, and it's just about legible, but we've got a price. And let's grab, we've got another two of them here. Can't quite grab those. Let's go one at a time, perhaps. Again, varying degrees of legibility on the ends of these boxes. Another price on that one. That's slightly, is that 7 and 6 on that one. So let's just pop those over. We'll leave those at that one. It's all eaten away at the end there. So I thought we'd just get the tank locomotive here. We'll grab that, we'll get that out of the siding, and we'll see if we can drag those log loads out onto the inside line. So if you just bear with me while I put these away. I've successfully picked up the controls now. They're all terribly twisted, so I had to take the opportunity to do some untangling there for a moment. So we will come back to that wagon in a moment. Let's see if we can get this tank locomotive out of the sidings here. So we just need to grab the correct switch. So that one wants to go curved. Let's see if we can add a little power now. And we'll just trundle around here. And we'll just put a stop in there. One, we've got to change that point there, but just in case there's an accident later on, I'm going to change this one before I forget it. So we'll make that one go straight. And then let's deal with this one here. So keep an eye on that. Make that one go curved. And let's see if we can just roll into this siding gently and pick up this sort of short rake of log loads. Have we got that? I think we've got that. Let's just take that one back and stand back a little. And we'll just pull that out of there. We'll stop it while we change the points, and then we'll just have a quick trundle round with it. And we've got the R.16 brake van on the back there. Yeah, no, that's not. I thought I might have had the converter on there, but it's not. The converter's on the other train lying in the sidings. So let's continue on with that. Let's just give that the once around, and then we'll set the camera up and have a quick look over these wagons a bit more closely, and the one lying on the box there. So relatively well behaved so far. Sounds lovely coming across all those track joints. Ooh, that's too good to be true, isn't it? So let's see if we can just hook that back up again. Yeah, all Mark II couplings at play here. That's the point we've just come out of the siding on, and we'll just roll it down here. And I'll set up the camera so we can have a quick look at these items. We'll just roll the train into shot here so we can have a quick look at some of these wagons. And just take the loco out of shot there, so we've got the wagons in frame. And we'll see if we pop the controls down. There we go. Hopefully they won't fall on the floor. So let's have a look at this one first. This is R.110. This is the original type of model, and then they added the log load to it later, and it became R.212. But I'm just holding these pegs on, or these little plastic parts, because they're going to fall off when I tip it over. So perhaps we should probably take them off to start with. So you can see there is distortion. I think this is probably an acetate model. So let's just pick these off and take the opportunity to have a quick look over them. So it's just a plastic mould which holds the two metal parts, and it should sort of slightly interference fit into the bed of the model there. But I think through distortion these ones have sort of passed that. So they're whilst they're still quite pretty, they're sort of not fitting together as they could. Let's have a quick look there. Very, very shiny. I'm convinced that it is acetate in play there. But this whole model has a little bit of a bend along its length. It's bowed that way. And if we look at the bogies, these are the very early ones, I think, which were used on these early LMS coaches. We've got one there. So have a quick look at that. I think that's the same, slightly earlier style of coupling on the Bogie here, and this one's got the later edition on the bottom. So if you have a quick look at the insert picture there, you can see both of these items, and I think that's the 55 book there we're having a look at. But I thought it was quite interesting to have an early version of this. We'll just pop this coach away to one side. So let's have a quick look at the bottom here, see if we can retain some sort of focus on it. Quite tricky to see in this light. I think we've got Triang, and then we've got the model number there, R.112, and made in England. There's quite a lot of distortion in this underframe detail here. Let's see if we can just grab another model and have a look at it. Actually, no, let's look at the box before I forget about the box. So this is quite a nice box, Triang Railways, but I think there's a interesting spelling of Bogie on the end of the box there, perhaps not so legible on that end. Very, very thick sellotape there. Let's have a look at the other side. So there we go. So R.112 Bogie Bolster Wagon, and again that very, very thick sellotape. I just thought that was quite interesting. Also, I think this is a Richmond box. Let's have a quick look at that. There we go, Richmond, Surrey. So before they moved the factory. So we'll just pop that to one side. And we'll see if we can get a couple of these wagons off to have a look at. We'll try and use the uncoupler there. I'm just going to reach out of frame and get this one that's just getting that one. Making a mess of that. Shouldn't have bothered with the uncoupler in the first place, so this is a slightly later one. And again, we've got these slightly later type of bogies on here. Let's have a look at that. You can see the difference there. I think these ones were used in some of the transcontinental items as well. So we'll have a quick look under the underside there. And you see the underframe detail is much more crisply moulded, and I don't think it's suffering from any form of distortion there. Let's roll it around that way. And you see it's got the two catalogue numbers there. It's got 110 and 212 to represent the log load. And, you can see there's pins being added to the underside there to accommodate those sprung clips, which this particular model doesn't have. But they rust and rot away. So we'll pop this older one down, and we'll just have a look at that. So you see that they're securely in place. There's quite. I don't know whether these ones have actually been glued, but sometimes they come away with a little bit of a pull. But these ones are. There we go. That one will come off. So they sort of plug in quite nicely, and see the dirt around the edge there where it's been sitting there for years. So we'll just pop that one back in, and again, possibly easier said than. There we go. Got that one in place there. So let's just grab one of the other ones here with the sprung clip on. Also have a look at the piece of timber on there. So I'm unsure whether that's something that's been treated to look like it's been cut from a bush in the car park, or whether that is genuinely just harvested and used. It's sort of quite a nice idea that they sent somebody out to harvest these things. And then this is also obviously a much more prepared piece of timber, but nonetheless quite a nice looking item. You can see the pins have taken a bit of a tumble there, and this is the much later style of bogie before they went over to the plastic one. So I think this one was been in use with many items. Let's see if we can just have all three in frame together there. Let's see if we can make that happen. Possibly not the best way of doing it. There we go. Let's have a look at that so we can see the three sort of different different designs. Suddenly got a very, very dry throat there. So let's pop those down. And we can see these lovely sprung retainers there. If you have a look at the insert picture, you can see that's the 57 book there, and they're shown with those sprung retainers. I think these possibly were used on the crane or the tank load on the well wagons. Although I have got them on one of the crane loads, but several of the cranes I've got don't have them. They're missing, but they do rust away. If you look very closely, rust is beginning to creep into these. I think it's a very fine metal. They just rot and possibly get broken as well. So we'll pop that down. I suppose we have a quick look over the brake van while we're here. We'll just reach out a shot and get it. So we've seen plenty of these before. So R16. This one's the Mark II couplings. And we've got R16 on the base there, made in England. So relatively crisp. So roofs, not too many. There's a tiniest knock on the corner there. They are very susceptible to damage, the edge of those. So we'll pop that down. And I suppose we could just have a swift look at the locomotive. I'm going to pull a couple of those off of there. And we'll just see if we can roll the locomotive. Ooh, that one through messing around was off. So we have seen this locomotive in action for quite some time on the railway. So this is the one I bought as a project from Elaine's Trains, and it's turned out to be quite a lovely runner, R.59. So these came along in 1958, 56. Sorry, I can't read my handwriting there. So 1956 models, variations through to 72. There was a green variant. It changed in the 60s into green, and initially double lining and single lining, gaining the two different types of synchro-smoke unit over its years. Well, I particularly like the black variant of the model. A little later in the day now, I've got all those back on the line there, but when I did look over the footage, I forgot to mention that there's a slight bit of damage on the bottom of this one. The spars are slightly broken on the underframe detail. I don't know whether we can see that. They're not too bad. And also that the running number on the wagon is in a slightly different position on this earlier one. So let's just have a quick glance at that before we get these wagons underway. So this is the early one with those sort of old coach bogies on there. So we've got the running number at the right hand end instead of the left hand end, and a slightly different number as well. So we've got 129085 on that one, and here we've got M13127 on that one. So the numbers really are quite crude on this one. I think I can keep focus at that distance. See how the numbers sort of jumble up and down. They're not in a perfect line there. So let's have a look on that side as well. So there's a little bit of spillage of the paint there, or the paint, or the transfer onto the shoulder there of the model, but still, I think that's quite a nice item. I don't think it's going to be too successful to try and run that one at the moment. So we'll just stick with the four that we've got on here, and we'll see if we can get underway. Now, I've fiddled with some points so we can get this through onto the outer line. So let's couple that up. We'll bring that one. There we go. That seems all quite nice. Let's have a look. Nervously looking over my shoulder. I think in my head I've prepared everything correctly. Let's stand back and see if we can get a slightly wider view on this. So just get that to trundle around. So we'll keep an eye on that. All Mark II couplings. We know when we take our eyes off this, they're going to come undone to some degree or other, I think. All sounds quite good at the moment. So I'm just going to bring that through onto there. Well, I think we'll stop that at that stage and take care of some point work. So, because I'm bound to forget this one over here once we start running around, so we'll go straight with that one. And just want to tidy that one up, although I'm not planning on using the inner line at present. So let's get this underway again. I think I've left the point correct at the other end. And we're hearing some slight sort of hiccups as it's going over the uncoupling rails. Let's see how that does at this side. So we're completely hands-free at this stage. Yeah, sometimes those old wheels strike the uncoupling ramps even when they're in the down position. all sounding pretty good. So I'm going to tempt fate now and see if we can get the 00 timber train underway. Yeah, you can see them sort of bouncing away, even though that's in the down position. Let's get the Kobo underway and see if we can just finish off with a little bit of double running here. So I'm going to step back and see if we can get both trains in the same shot here. This is the one I want to keep an eye on. I'm not over worried about the Kobo at the moment, so it's the derailments here potentially I'm worried about. There we go. Almost got both trains visible in the shot there. So that's the trouble when you're running opposite ways around the railway. I can hear the Kobo storming in from the left of shot here. It's doing pretty good. The logs are all, actually one of those logs is beginning to sort of run down to one end of the wagon, isn't it? There's a slight vibration of everything, I think. So I think one last time around and then we'll probably call it a day there. But thanks again for watching. Goodbye now.